Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's another time for girl chat, and I am so glad to be able to be having this girl chat. So today we are going to talk about things that I wish I knew. Adulting edition. So I have been an adult for about 10 years now, so I guess I can say a little bit of what I have learned, of what I have gathered in the past, quite truthfully, in the past 3-4 years. But I've been an adult for about 10 years. And just anecdotally sharing things from my experience and possible conversation starters about things that I have learned as an adult. And I think that things that I wish I knew, that I know now, that I wish I knew a little bit earlier. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I wish I knew is about mental load. For the longest time, I didn't have a word to append to that feeling or that state of mind, but now I do, and it's mental load. So, mental load is, you know how, say, you have to wash clothes. So, you having to wash clothes has two parts to it. It has you thinking about washing clothes, and then you actually washing clothes. So now what happens is, even if you delegate and find someone to wash clothes for you, you still think about washing clothes. And that's what I mean by mental load. A lot of times people do not recognize or talk about mental load as much as they talk about physical load. So what happens is, it's like you are told, hey, do you have too much work? You can delegate. And delegating is okay, and it's a skill that you have to learn. But there's something that they don't tell you about remaining with the mental load. Now, earlier this year, I got a lady to wash clothes. Or rather, my roommate and I got a lady to wash our clothes. That was nice. It literally took the burden of washing clothes away from us. But what it did not take is the mental load of having those clothes washed. So even when the lady comes to wash clothes, I find myself thinking about, is she expanding those clothes? Is she washing them properly? Am I going to have to deal with long-term stains that she doesn't want washed properly? Is she overusing the washing powder? Like all these things. And so while I thought that I would use this time to be more productive, I still find myself thinking about clothes and having to go and watch what she's doing, remind her to do this and that, and it's exhausting. I don't feel quite relieved now that I delegated that role. I don't feel quite relieved that I took that load away from me. And it really applies to a lot of things. It's really difficult. Like I didn't know it was a thing, but now I know that it's a thing. Yeah. Do you find it difficult to delegate? Because I do. Like I it's just a thing. The second thing I really wish I knew was sleep. Everything about sleep. Now, one, I find myself feeling very guilty for not having 7 hours of sleep, for not sleeping at 10 p.m. Now, the thing about adulting and whatever version of adulting you are in is that every day is different, every day looks different, and there's days that you can sleep early, there's days you cannot sleep early, there's days that your stress is going to wake you up and it will not let you sleep, and there's days that your stress will make you oversleep. And I don't know if there's a balance, but that's where I am. Like some days I'm so stressed I cannot sleep. It's 3 a.m. I'm just awake. I'm just literally, you watch all the TikToks, all the YouTubes, all the YouTube videos, all the Instagram, like you scroll until your phone is just, you try read, you cannot, your mind is so full, you can't sleep. There's days when I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I have to work out, and I go back and sleep. Like, I am so stressed. I don't want to wake up. I don't want to do anything. And then there's days when I'm stressed, I can't sleep. And also accepting the fact that every day looks different, and not feeling guilty for not sleeping at 10 p.m. and sleeping at midnight, for example, or for not sleeping the 6 or 7 hours that I thought. Because I think because of just taking in so much wellness information and so much health information, I started to think that if I sleep less than the ideal hours, I am deliberately ruining my health. God, that was hard. And I started to feel guilty about it. But then again, the thing about feeling guilty is you start a cycle, a vicious cycle. So you feel like, oh my God, I can't even sleep early. Then you get stressed about it. Then you're like, oh my God, why am I so stressed about something small? And then it just spirals out to something out of control until you cannot wake up. And I just wish I knew to just appreciate every day for the amount of sleep that I got. Because I think in campus and in high school, I was telling myself that I was going to be able to rectify my health when I was an adult. But I'm realizing it's far from it, actually. And that thing freaks me out. The other thing I didn't know and I wish I knew about adulting is investment. I wish people were more open. I wish people were more willing to share this information. Now, this is what I mean. I have beef with a lot of financial classes and financial webinars. I've gone through a fair share of those, and let's just start by the fact that you want to go to financial classes and webinars of things that are non-affiliated. Usually I just look at people, say like Centonomy is having a financial class, and then I'm like, you want me to give you my money, right? I see you. And I'm very skeptical and cynical. Maybe that's a bad thing. But I wish people were more open about talking about investment honestly. Because every webinar or finance class that I've gone, it's like, oh yeah, save and then invest. And I'm like, invest in what? Yeah, you can invest in stocks, in capital markets, in I don't know what. And I kind of think that maybe it's time to look for a mentor or someone who is actually investing, who would be willing to share like more in-depth information of, oh, why did you pick this, where did you pick, rather than just giving blanket statements. Because I think I could even tell you, I guess, from the back of my hand, oh, save this percent, oh, live in this house, oh, have a budget. We know these things, right? But I still, like, nobody tells you, oh, this is how much you have, this much you have is going to give you a meaningful investment or whatever. And if maybe it's being lazy, I don't know, but there's some things I feel like people just sort of gatekeep that information, and I wish people were a lot more open with talking about these things, especially because we're transitioning from even the things that we are now investing in or we should invest in are kind of changing. So what my parents might think is a wise thing to invest in might not give me as much, might not be the best investment, so to speak. And I don't know, I am still navigating that space of figuring out investment, what is an investment portfolio, how to go about it. But I wish I knew about this a lot earlier. I think it would have even influenced how I went through campus, because I do have regrets about how I went through campus, which we should talk about in a different video. But yeah, so there's that. And then I wish I knew stuff about diet and health. Now, this is the thing. A lot of the information I think that I have, a lot of the information that I've consumed about diet and about health, I feel like they have non-medical background to it. They are impractical, and they're also very heavily social media influenced. Now, the things about those three things is that they are not only not supported, but they, first of all, social media just sets a standard that is unattainable. And if you think about it in perspective of how the diet industry is such a big industry and they need to keep us feeling inadequate about ourselves for them to make money, then you become very suspicious about a lot of things that are propagated and sold to us as health and as diet information. And I've become very skeptic in the past year and a half. And I'm sort of beginning to craft a different outlook and way and look for people to walk in this journey with. I am becoming a lot more appreciative of people who are trained in whatever specialties that I'm looking for information for, and I just wish I had this information a lot earlier, because living in a body that's a little bit bigger than the normal body like me, I feel like I went through the motions of dieting and binging and overworking out. I literally hurt myself not once, but a lot of times just to try to work out and outrun and work out to be in the correct BMI, to be in that small body space that is not necessarily healthy but has been sold to us as health. And I just wish that I had this information a lot earlier, because I would have spent less time hating myself and a lot more time being creative and just enjoying the body that I am in and picking the correct and right information and making the best decisions for myself. So I wish I knew that a lot earlier. So the other thing I wish I knew a lot about is male privilege. And I'm about to be feminist, but I wish I understood the full extent of what male privilege looks like and how that affects my perception of myself and how that affects how I interact with people. Because I feel like being brought up female and in a space where being nice and being kind was really emphasized, you tend to expect and think the best of other people, and that makes you get hurt a lot. It's sort of taught to us that we should be quiet, we should not challenge people, we should expect that people are going to be as nice to us as we are to them, and that, especially when you deal with people who've been brought up without an ounce or with very little responsibility, that can really hurt you, because you are navigating in a space where you are thinking that people have initiative, for instance. And so you can be hanging out as a group of friends or in a relationship or whatever, and you think that everybody's going to put the best initiative forward, so you don't have to sort of assign roles to everyone so that work can be given equitably or something like that. You think that, you everyone's just going to chip in and everybody wants the good of everyone, except no. And it's not like they, I don't know, they could not want the good for everyone, but it's also not like they want to be mean. It's just that mm, mm, girls and boys are brought up differently, and a lot of the way in this society boys are brought up, they don't have an ounce of responsibility. So what happens is, even if you're in a class that has girls and boys and whatever, girls tend to take up a lot of responsibilities, and guys just sit down and either enjoy being taken care of or take the praise for the responsibility that has been put forth by girls. And I feel like I didn't fully understand that until B and I were just talking and just talking and seeing how this really plays out every day in our life. And I feel like if we really understand, while it's not our job to take people to account or make them accountable for what they did, I feel like it's important that we know not to overstretch and to call out people when we feel stressed. Because again, part of the thing about being kind and everything, it's like you just suffer in silence. And I feel like it's important to be like, excuse me, that is not fair. No, that is not good. No, you are expecting me to do way more than I should. And it's something that you need to call people out on. It's something that I'm learning to do right now, but it's not something that I actually ever grasped fully. Maybe it's also because we were mostly girls growing up, but it's just something that now we have to navigate the world with some level of cognizance of that I didn't think we did. Okay, so the other thing I wish I knew or I understood was trauma. Not that I fully understand, but how childhood trauma, how basically how messed up how we were brought up was, or the possibility of how messed up how we were brought up was, and how trauma plays into how we relate with people, how we relate to the world, and basically how we experience life. I've been going to therapy. I talked about therapy in this video. I've been going to therapy, and even just before therapy, there's things that happen to me, not necessarily happen to me, but yeah, things that happened to me that made me really question and think about the role of trauma in life, in how we navigate spaces. A lot of things of how I respond to, relate with people is really informed by things that happened to me when I was a child, or how I was brought up as a child, and how I related with life as a child. And it's a really big explainer of how I perceive and relate to life as at now. Now, the reason why I say I wish I understood trauma is because it would make me not feel responsible for things that were technically not my fault, and recognize things that were not okay really early. A lot of since I started going for therapy, I've been thinking through a bunch of things, and I'm like, yo, that was not okay. No, that was not okay. Oh, that explains why I am like this. So how do I then go from here? And a lot of things about understanding trauma, which is why I'm such a big advocate for therapy, is because it really helps you not make the same mistakes that shaped you in a big way, and also not transfer trauma from this generation to the next, because I think a lot of things that we can agree that were not okay about how we were brought up, or are not okay about how our parents did things, were just transferred from a generation to the next, and somebody needs to stop those things. And I just wish I understood how big and how vast and how complicated trauma is as a subject, because then it would make me a lot more empathetic with certain situations and certain people. And it also helped me prevent myself from getting hurt and hurting other people resultantly because of the trauma that I carry. Also, I think that understanding trauma makes you appreciate the fact that it's not one-sided, like it's not direct. Everything we know as trauma is being beaten up or being raped as a thing, but it's more nuanced than that. And sometimes you don't even know that something is not okay until it's brought to your attention and you really think about it. And so I wouldn't go around thinking that everybody should fix themselves and be fixed, or that people should leave their childhood experiences at the door when they get into a new relationship, because that's not how it works. And now that I'm beginning to, I guess, bite into small bits of understanding trauma, it really has made me a better person, and it has helped me be empathetic and just sympathize with things that happen to people, and how people behave, and how I interact with people just really changes because of that. So the other thing, and I think this could be the last one, that I wish I knew, is how important being in a healthy partnership is. So I'm making this video on 8th May, and this is just a day after there's that whole saga of cousins' children. If you know, you know. And I'm just thinking about how dysfunctional partnerships are so painful, partnerships where people just jitolea to embarrass you for no reason, for no reason whatsoever. No. And I think we don't talk about, when we grow up, it is emphasized that being in a partnership is good, having a husband, having a wife, having a boyfriend, whatever, is really good. But nobody tells you how important it is to not only invest in that partnership, but also make sure that you're in a healthy space that is not going to curtail your growth, but is going to propel you forward, because that's really important. In fact, I want to say that you deserve to be in a healthy partnership. I think as a girl, a lot of the times you're just taught to aspire to marriage, but nobody tells you the quality of marriage or quality of relationship that you should be in. And so I remember thinking, so initially, I never thought that I would be in a relationship or get married, because too much work, and I don't have time for that kind of work. And so when I would tell people the kind of partner that I wanted, I would be told that I was literally looking for a pipe dream. Like, those people do not exist. Men are trash. And good luck. Just don't get married. And so I think I was like, yeah, I won't get married anyway. So let's just go on with life. And it is that kind of messaging of, you will not find somebody who supports you, who propels your dream, who participates in housework, who doesn't think you are supposed to serve them. It's sold to us as an pipe dream and something that cannot happen. And so you just think that as long as you're in a marriage setting, or as long as you're in a relationship, you're fine. But I think it's important to say the importance of being in a healthy partnership. When you're in a healthy partnership, it's navigating through life as two people who it's like having this constant friend and this constant cheerleader and helper, and somebody who roots for you, who's literally on your corner. You have somebody to bounce ideas off. You have somebody to help you to, oh my God, rub your feet when you're tired, to sit with you when you have a late night, to cuddle at night. And that is like, it provides such stability, that is really important. And for me, I wish I understood that it is something that I deserved, and it's not something that I'm lucky to have, and something that I should, oh my God, feel very privileged to have. But I feel like we need to emphasize on how much it is something that you deserve. Like, don't be wowed by bare minimums, you know. You need someone who literally treats you like a human being, and it shouldn't be rocket science, you know. And I just wish we understood a lot more. I understood a lot more about healthy partnerships and stuff. Um, because that would maybe then not be very cynical, not be very closed, and not have my walls really high up when it came to relationship, because my walls were up there. And it would make me really enjoy my relationship, right, as opposed to waiting for it not to work out, like waiting for it not to substantiate to something, which really we need to talk about messaging. We need to talk about the messaging that we give young girls, because that's destructive. But those are my 7 things that I wish I understood and I wish I knew when I was younger. Adulting edition. And I would like to know what you wish you knew when you were younger, what you wish you understood as a child, not really as a child, but as a budding young woman, what you wish you knew, or what you now know that you wish you knew a lot earlier. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. Subscribe down below, and thank you for hanging out with me, and I'm gonna see you later.